everyone, it's Spoonful for you, back at you again with another video, and today I am reviewing the one, the only Epic Universe. I had the special privilege of going to Epic Universe on May 9th. Yes, it's open to the public. Yes, there's preview tickets out there. Anybody can go pretty much, but still, there's still a lot of people that cannot make it because it's just a sudden announcement. So I'm very happy that I actually had the privilege of going with my family on May 9th. 2025. So today I'm going to review this park. It will contain spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, please leave the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get started. So, Epic Universe, the new Universal Park, is not perfect, unfortunately, but I will say this, I had a very fantastic time. This is, without a doubt, probably one of the prettiest parks in Florida. I will say that. Very clean park, very beautiful. The landscaping in this park is definitely the best after, I would say, Animal Kingdom. The plants and flowers and just everything is gorgeous in this park. So, of course, let's talk first about the pros. The whole idea of Epic Universe is fantastic. The portals are some of the coolest ideas I have ever seen. Passing through a unique portal is so great. It's so well done. Think Islands of Adventure, but just better themed. You know, back in the day, every theme park, every land was connected, and it never felt really kinetic. It was kind of tiring. You know what I mean? Like Islands of Adventure was always tiring, going from Seuss Landing to Lost Continent to Harry Potter. It felt like you were just walking, walking, walking. Now there's so much energy to all the lands, and there's a central hub in the middle, which is fantastic. I absolutely love Celestial Park. It is a completely original land, and oh my god, it is a breath of fresh air. You know, I'm tired of these IP lands. Everything is IP lately. If you guys don't know, IP means intellectual property. It is a property owned by a company that has already existed. So, you know, Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon, Universal Monsters, which is not really IP anymore because it's the movies are over almost 100 years old. But you know what I mean. Also, we have Super Nintendo World. But IP is everywhere nowadays, especially in Disney, which I cannot stand. You know, gone are the days where we had unique attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, Bear Jamboree, etc. So it was a breath of fresh air having Celestial Park be this non-IP land. It is gorgeous. There are some problems with this land, unfortunately, but I will get there later on in the cons. But Celestial Park, I'm very, very pleased to say that I love this land. Another positive, I haven't tried everything. I only tried one restaurant, and that was Pizza Moon. I thought Pizza Moon was fantastic for a pizza restaurant. I'm very critical of pizza. I'm a very picky pizza eater. The pizza has to taste good or I won't like it. The crust was okay, but I'm not a crust fan. However, the pizza itself, the taste, the quality was fantastic. I tried my brother's white pizza and he tried my barbecue pizza. I thought both pizzas were fantastic. They tasted really well done for a pizza, you know, for a theme park pizza. The quality, it made me feel like I was having a pizza from like a local pizzeria. I was very impressed. And it's even better than like Papa John's and Domino's. For a theme park pizza, I will say very impressive. Every land has so much beautiful quality put into it. I mean, I'm going to say this right now. The most of the money that you pay for is just looking around in these beautiful worlds. I mean, these worlds, I'm still shocked at how they created these worlds. It's nothing I've seen before in any theme park. And I've been to a lot of theme parks. Theme parks have always dazzled me. I've always been impressed. But this park, there's something about it where there's so much energy in these worlds. It truly feels like you're teleported to a different place. And like I said, it's not perfect, and we will get there to the cons, but these worlds are so represented perfectly that I'm just impressed, to be honest. The Monsters Land is just oozing with personality. I could honestly stay there all day. I love the characters like Igor, and I was very worried that the park would be woke. And here's another positive. The park is not woke. I looked everywhere, every nook and cranny. There is no woke stuff anywhere. The bathrooms still represent only men and women. There is no non-binary bathrooms. All the characters are represented perfectly. No skin tones, no ethnicity, nothing changed. All the characters still look like themselves. So there's no like black Hiccup or there's no transgender Hiccup. It is a white man playing a white character, which I felt like was amazing, you know? Astrid looked like Astrid. All the characters looked like the characters from the movie. It was awesome. And I just have to say, I looked everywhere. I could not find a single woke thing. The most worrisome character I was so worried about was Victoria Frankenstein. This character may be a little bit girl bossy to a couple people, but I found her tolerable. She is the granddaughter of Victor Frankenstein, and she is not a perfect character. She does some evil things. The ride, you know, it mentions in the ride, maybe she's the monster. She's the one that chains up all these monsters. And I found her character, you know, she was cool. She's not woke in any way. She has flaws. And she still respects her great grandfather, Victor Frankenstein. You know, she doesn't put him down. She does not belittle him. She actually speaks very highly of her grandfather, which I think is very great. Because he is a white man, and of course she looks up to him. So anyways, woke stuff, there's no woke stuff anywhere in this park. And I just have to say, the music in this park is also very fantastic, especially Celestial Park and Dark Universe. Danny Elfman composed the soundtrack to Dark Universe, and I found it awesome. I loved this music. It's probably some of Danny Elfman's best work he's done in a very long time. That's another thing I was very worried about. Will the music even be good? Does Danny Elfman still have it? And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he still has it. When the tavern lights on fire, it's like a whole little show where the music starts, you know, it starts going, and then when the fire just blows up, the music just swirls. It's fantastic. I love it. It is awesome music, and it's very well done. Another positive is the walk-around characters. Now, unfortunately, on the day that I ended up going, there were not that many characters walking around. I spotted a Viking, and I did spot Hiccup. I spotted Igor, and the Invisible Man. The Invisible Man was out, but I did not spot Frankenstein. I did not spot Astrid, etc., etc. But the walk-around characters are fantastic. They look great. The actors are really good, so I hope Universal hires more and more really good actors and makes sure that the quality in the actors remains. And another great positive is the layout of the park. Yes, you do walk a lot, but I never felt overwhelmed in this park like I did at the other parks. Now, Islands of Adventure is a massive park, and it's completely surrounded by a massive lagoon. So you have to go all the way around the park, and it's tiring during summertime. But Epic Universe, I love that there's a central hub in the middle, and every land is connected to the hub. So it feels like, you always know where you are, and you always know that there's always a hub in the middle. I think the whole layout of the park is very well done. And another thing I love about this park is I love how Super Nintendo World has, like a hidden entrance. I'm a sucker for exploration in theme parks, and I love how Super Nintendo World has, a secret entrance to it. It's great. And another positive, I have to tell you guys, going into this park, I was worried that this park would have too many family attractions because there's a lot of animated properties in this park. You have How to Train Your Dragon. You have Super Nintendo World. That's two lands made up completely of animated attractions. So I was worried, okay, is this going to be like a family park? Which I love family rides. I absolutely love family attractions, but I had no idea, would this keep the attention span of everyone in my party? A lot of people in my family, they love thrill rides. They love getting thrilled. And I'm like, okay, is this going to be a thrill park? Will this actually keep people's attention in my family? And I have to tell you guys, the coasters in this park packed a punch. How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccup's Wing Gliders. I was excited for this ride, but it blew me out of the water. This was Hagrid, but less intense, and I honestly really enjoyed that. I think Hagrid gets a little intense sometimes, especially if you don't go into the ride expecting a good ride. Sometimes when I ride Hagrid, I may be kind of like sick to my stomach sometimes because maybe I had lunch and then I did Hagrid, or maybe I woke up early in the morning and then I did Hagrid too early in the morning, and that ride really takes a lot out of me. How to Train Your Dragon Hiccup's Wing Gliders is the perfect thrill level, and it is very smooth. I love this ride. And Donkey Kong Minecart Madness is a short ride. I will say that right now. It is a short ride, but it packs a punch as well. Really good drops. I love the minecart style to the ride. I think these coasters, including some of the dark rides, they pack a punch in this park, and I really enjoy them a lot. So let's get into the nitpicks. Nitpicks. Okay, the park is closing way too early. Now, yes, they did extend the hours. When the park opens, the park will close at 10 o'clock. The park should close at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock every night. I will say that. Well, maybe every weekend. That is a small nitpick. I wasn't really bothered by the hours. I felt like I got my day's worth of the park. That is a small nitpick. Another nitpick that I have, a lot of these attractions are very, very short waits. I'm not short waits. Very short. The time length of these rides is very short. Like Yoshi's Adventure, Minecart Madness. Hiccup's Wing Gliders is a great ride, but it's very short. The boat ride's very short. A lot of short attractions in this park. So that's a very nitpicky thing, but they do pack a punch, and I do love a lot of these attractions. And that was the nitpicks. Now, let's get into the cons. The big major con that I have is that this doesn't feel like a Universal Park, and this does feel like a Universal Park. One more positive, I will say this. This park feels the most like a Disney park. Now, it's not quite there, but Universal actually managed to make this park feel the most like a Disney park. It actually has that magical energy to it that the other two parks quite don't have. But this park really does. It felt like I was kind of stepping into a Disney park. This felt truly like the 5th Disney park in Florida. So I was very surprised by that. However, it's not perfect. While it does feel a little bit like Disney, it still feels a little bit too much like Universal, where the storylines, and the rides are not quite there perfectly. And there's a problem, unfortunately, with the sightlines. Now, what are sightlines? Okay, so Disney, right? Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, whatever. Those parks created sightlines where you could not see into the other land. So let's say you're in Fantasyland, right? In Fantasyland, you cannot see ahead in Tomorrowland, or you cannot see in, Frontierland. Every land at Magic Kingdom had sightlines. Well, it did before Tron was built, but anyways, that's a different story. But sightlines are very important in a theme park because it keeps the theming going. You have to be immersed in these parks, in these lands. Unfortunately, the sightlines are very poorly done at Epic Universe. There's moments when I'm walking in Darkmoor, which is the Dark Universe area, and I look straight ahead, right above me, you have the big hotel right in front of the cottage. It takes me completely out of this creepy world every time. And unfortunately, I have to train myself, I keep telling myself, Alex, just ignore it. How to Train Your Dragon, you're in there and you look around and you see Celestial Park right in front of you. It's just takes you out of these worlds, unfortunately, and it really breaks immersion. And it really sucks that Epic Universe, it sucks that the sightlines were not as well as I thought they would be, because when I heard that this park was opening, I thought this was going to be the most immersive park where these sightlines would have like hills, because the concept art, it looked like these portals had hills in front of them where you could not see in front of you or ahead of you. You had to go through the portal first. But unfortunately, that's not the case, because I can clearly see the Isle of Berk, the huge mountain in the front. I can literally see that in Celestial Park. it's unfortunate because it kind of does break immersion and it ruins the magic of going through that portal. So that is a big con in this park. Personally, me, I can look past it. I still love the park for what it is. I'm not one of those people that's going to like bitch and moan about it every time I go to the park. It's just unfortunate and it's kind of disappointing because, growing up, I was a big Disney fan and I loved Disney, and sightlines were a big part of Disney. So another con that I have is this still feels like a Universal park. The ride storylines are still not there completely, okay? So let's talk about my favorite ride in the park, the Frankenstein Experiment. This dark ride is really, really good. The animatronics are fantastic. I love exploring the mansion. But when you get to the storyline, it needed a little bit more development. Okay, so the plot of the ride, Victoria is after the monsters because Dracula broke out and he let all of the monsters out of containment. So now you and Victoria are after the monsters. You have to stop them before they break out, pretty much. The problem is that that's pretty much all the ride is going for. You attack these monsters, you face these monsters, and then the ride abruptly ends at the very end. There's really no ending. She says, okay, they all bow down to me, and then Igor dies, and boom, the ride's over. And that's a problem that plagues Universal attractions, where every ride is thrilling and they're fun and they're packed with a lot of energy, but that storyline is just not quite there like an old school Disney ride. But nevertheless, I love the Frankenstein Experiment, but that is a con. Another issue is, of course, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, the AR. They try overcomplicating some of these attractions at Universal, where these rides just become so overcomplicated on technology, it ruins the entire experience. Bowser's Challenge, the sets that they built were gorgeous. Going through the ride itself, Mario Kart, it looks great. But unfortunately, the AR, in my personal opinion, doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't work. I did the ride once in Hollywood. I did it again in Florida. I liked it better in Florida, but that AR is still, it's not doing it for me. And that's a big issue I have. With Universal, the shows themselves, I enjoyed the shows, but they're too loud and you don't really understand all the words coming from these actors' mouths. I have a major con. The shows are beautiful, the actors are great, but the sound system is way too loud. And that's a problem, especially for me. I'm someone that loves loud music, and if it's loud for me, there's a problem, okay? So that's a major con going for these shows where the system is too loud. What are the other cons? I can't really think of cons, to be honest, other cons. Well, let's give it one more con. Super Nintendo World is the most overhyped, the land is the most overhyped I have ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong. Going up that escalator is fun. Checking out the land itself is beautiful. It feels like you step right into the park, right into the games. But there's only one standout ride here, and the other two rides are pretty mediocre. Now, the standout ride is Minecart Madness. I really like that ride. Yoshi Adventure, it's mediocre, but for different reasons. It's not a bad ride. I like it. It's an Omnimover, people mover attraction. But it's not worth a 40-minute wait, like some people are hyping this ride up to be. It is worth a 5 to 10-minute wait, maybe 15. Which is why I think this ride is mediocre, because it is way too packed for the ride that you get. And Bowser's Challenge is a complete disaster. It's one of the most disappointing rides ever built in a theme park. I remember 5 years ago, people were talking about this ride. This was going to be the Harry Potter killer. This was going to be the Rise of the Resistance killer. No, this ride is a mediocre piece of junk. It just doesn't work. It's a gorgeous made ride. It's beautifully made, but the AR combined with the slow-moving vehicles just doesn't work. And people are hyping this ride up like it's the second coming of Christ. I mean, this ride It's not worth a 2-hour wait, ladies and gentlemen. This is like the Cat in the Hat level. This ride should only be 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes max. If this ride is any longer than 15 minutes, it's not worth it. You have a dud on your hands. And one more major con that I have is there's not enough attractions. Now, we never did Stardust Racers. We never did Curse of the Werewolf, and we never did Harry Potter because all these rides were technically closed. There's not much to do. And growing up, I always felt like Hollywood Studios at Disney didn't have much to do. But this park takes the cake for probably the least amount of attractions at any theme park in Florida. And it's a negative, but then again, I had such a great time. I loved all the rides I enjoyed a lot of the rides. It didn't really bother me very much, but it will bother a lot of people, and I don't know if this will bother me in the future because, eventually that honeymoon phase, that original phase of going to the park the first ever time, originally that fun, that thrill factor of going there the first ever time, that's going to wear off. And I'm wondering, how will this ride stack up in 2 years? Will this ride be, how will this park stack up in 2 years? Will this park become stagnant in 2 years? Will people get bored of the rides? Because there's not that many attractions. And I think this park seriously needs at least 2 or 3 more attractions. So I'm hoping that Universal will build the Creature of the Black Lagoon ride because this park seriously needs it. But nevertheless, there's cons, there's positives. I freaking love Epic Universe, flaws and all. I think this park has massive potential to improve. I think it is vastly superior to Universal Studios Florida, the original park. I don't know if it's on the same level of Islands of Adventure, but I think the worlds themselves are beautiful. The rides, I don't think are quite as good as Islands of Adventure yet, but I think the park itself is the most beautiful park in Universal history. Very impressive. Love this park. I wonder what my opinions will be when I go back again, but I felt like it was worth it. I think this park deserves praise. It needs a little more work. It needs some cooks in the kitchen, but I think for what it's worth, I had a great time. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this very, very long review, but love you guys and goodbye.